A depleted Boston Bruins lineup is in St. Louis to take on the Blues tonight, and we're going to check in on some Bruins prospects as well as the OHL playoffs are set to get started, and some encouraging developments on the AHL squad as well. So let's get into it, shall we?
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Tuesday, April 19th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins a daily listen. The podcast is free and available on all platforms as well as on YouTube, so please smash that subscribe button. Each new episode will be automatically added to your feeds for you to download, listen, and enjoy. If you are on social media, you can follow the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins on both Instagram and Twitter. And you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. A quick shout out to all those who participated in the Boston Marathon yesterday. Incredible accomplishment for those of you who watched with an adult beverage. Congratulations to you as well for taking advantage of your day off. Up here in Ontario, we had a bit of a snowstorm. Snow still falling here this morning, but I still beat the rush, got my winter tires taken off, very much ready for spring and for the Stanley Cup playoffs to begin. We're still a couple weeks away from that, and the Bruins have 7 games remaining on the schedule, beginning tonight in St. Louis. The Bruins are without Linus Ullmark in net. They're without David Pastrnak up front, Hampus Lindholm on the back end, and Jesper Froden suffered a lower body injury in Saturday's playoff-clinching win over the Pittsburgh Penguins, leaving yet another hole in the lineup. Really 2 holes on the second line, as Froden had been filling in for Pastrnak. I was a big fan of Froden's game so far at the NHL level. Liked seeing him, just giving his all. He scored a goal, playing strong defensively as well. And it will now be Curtis Lazar's turn to play on the second line in Froden and Pasternak's absence. Bruce Cassidy said Lazar is good at going to the net drive, get pucks off the wall to Erik Haula. They obviously don't expect him to replace Pasternak's individual skill level, but just get to the net and help make things happen. They've tried a few different people there. Craig Smith was there to begin the season. David Pastrnak bumped down there to play with Taylor Hall and Erik Haula. Froden had filled in Mark McLaughlin, and now they're giving Lazar a chance there. Obviously, Pasta's going to go back there when he's healthy, but in the meantime, they want to keep that line feeling good about themselves. If Lazar's a fit there, then perhaps he'll get another couple games on that line. He's had some flashes with his hands, and still they don't want to change the way he plays, but really get a chance to see if he can make good on there. He does have a career high 8 goals this season, and he is just going to go in there and try to play predictable hockey in the sense that he's not reinventing his game. Skate straight lines, win some puck battles, open up the ice for Hall and Haula. And he said he talked to Halsey a little bit about that at practice on Monday. They did play on the same team, of course, with the Buffalo Sabres in the past, so they know each other a little bit. from those years, or last year and this year, playing for the same team. And we'll see what happens there. Pastrnak, Lindholm both skated before practice on Monday. Neither traveled for tonight's game against St. Louis, and they won't play Thursday's game in Pittsburgh either. He expects both to return before the end of the regular season, maybe even this weekend. They have a game Saturday against the Rangers. Lindholm, hasn't had a ton of time to get acclimated with his Bruins teammates. And he hasn't been in the playoff picture really as much recently. So the plan is to get him back on the ice, to get his timing in order to be fresh and ready to go when the playoffs do begin. Same with Ullmark. He's never played in the playoffs, so there's a lot of newness with meaningful games this time of year. He's going to be 100% for him to be in a good place heading into the playoffs. So how much he plays before, we'll have to see. Troy Grosnick remains with the Bruins as the backup, and I wouldn't expect that he'll get a start. So we'll see Swayman here tonight and Thursday. Patrice Bergeron took a maintenance day on Monday, but he should be ready to go tonight against the Blues. Bruce Cassidy's message with the playoffs fast approaching is they're holding these guys to a higher standard to prepare them for what will be a highly competitive postseason. There will be no easy matchups, regardless of who they play in the first round, and then if they're able to make it to subsequent rounds. Bruce Cassidy said they've challenged the guys to play. They've challenged them a lot over the past 2 weeks, maybe more than they have in the last 3 months. They've seen that with guys getting scratched because the messaging is now, we felt these last 2 weeks, they're going to get in. They got in, and now it's going to be a grind. You have to be prepared to start building those habits and continuing to build those habits. We saw that with Trent Frederick being scratched. He came in, responded with a goal in Saturday's win over the Penguins. There's going to be 8 really good teams in the playoffs. No easy games, no easy outs, and they need maximum effort up and down the lineup, no matter who they're playing. So tonight it will be the top line remaining intact. Marchand, Bergeron, DeBrusk. You'll have Taylor Hall skating with Erik Haula and Curtis Lazar. Third line of Frederick, Coyle, Smith, and then Foligno, Nosek, McLaughlin. Jack Studnicka skated in place of Bergeron, but I don't believe he'll get any game action here unless there's another injury. Grizzly McAvoy in the back end, Riley, Carlo, and then Forbort, Clifton on the third pair. So that's how things look here in advance of tonight's game against the St. Louis Blues. Before we get to a quick prospect update, let's talk about BetOnline.net, your number one source for all betting stats and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including the NBA playoffs, upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs, and the start of Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today, use your mobile device, learn more about the trends in action at BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Now, there was some talk after the trade deadline from Don Sweeney about getting Fabian Lysell up to Providence or perhaps even Boston once the WHL season was over. There was a chance Lysell's Vancouver Giants might miss the playoffs, making him available basically right now. However, they did clinch a postseason berth, and he will therefore be unavailable for at least the next couple of weeks. They picked up a point in an overtime loss to the Kelowna Rockets last week, allowing them to clinch that spot. Lysell scored the first Giants goal in the second period of that game, then set up Zach Ostapchuk for the third period goal, and that effort helped Lysell and the Giants into the playoffs. Lysell did win some team awards this season. He won the Giants Rookie of the Year award, the Plus Minus award as well for the Vancouver Giants. Overall, he finished with 22 goals, 40 assists, in 62 points in 53 games for the Giants. He was also second in the 3 Stars award behind team MVP Ostapchuk. So a very impressive first season over in North America for Lysell. The Giants will play the Everett Silvertips in the best of 7 series, which begins Friday. If their season comes to an end, sooner than later, he could sign his ordeal with Providence and finish out the season with the baby Bruins. A couple other junior players who are heading to their respective postseasons. First, Brett Harrison in Oshawa. They will be playing the Mississauga Steelheads in the first round of the Ontario Hockey League playoffs. Harrison, in 65 games this season, had 27 goals, 34 assists, also had 12 power play goals, and his overall game saw quite a bit of improvement. So that's very encouraging for the 85th overall pick at the 2021 NHL draft. His team will be playing the Kingston Frontenacs in the first round. I think I said Mississauga Steelheads, but it's actually the Kingston Frontenacs, who are a very good team, I should add. In the Western Conference, Ryan Mast and the Sarnia Sting will be taking on the Windsor Spitfires, a bit of a regional rivalry there. 2 teams that are pretty close together in Western Ontario. Mast was drafted in the 6th round of the 2021 entry draft. He recorded 9 goals, 22 assists for 31 points in 59 games, which was almost triple what he had last season. In 2019-20 for the Sting, 1 goal, 10 assists a couple years ago in 58 games. So also massive improvement from Mast, although he's not really an offensive defenseman per se, but still quite impressive that he was able to put up those numbers. So be keeping an eye on the OHL playoffs as well as the WHL playoffs. Again, the Giants taking on the Everett Silvertips. We'll have the Oshawa Generals and Brett Harrison taking on the Kingston Frontenacs. And Ryan Mast and the Sarnia Sting taking on the Windsor Spitfire. Guelph Storm, who I'm representing today with this hat, they technically the defending champions. There has been no championship awarded since 2019 because of COVID. They're taking on the Sioux Greyhounds in the opening round, and I'm very excited to check that out. Danny Zhilkin is a very talented center for the Storm, and I believe the Bruins have their eyes on him as a potential draft pick this year, certainly hoping that he'll fall to the second round. Now, in the AHL, Some real impressive performances for some guys over the weekend. First of all, Brandon Bussi. He is just like a week into his pro career, and he was named the AHL Player of the Week after winning his first 2 starts for the Providence Bruins, including a shutout against Hershey. So he's 2-0-0 with a .964 save percentage in his first 2 starts at the pro level, which is very, very impressive for Brandon Bussi. So huge congratulations to him for making an immediate impact after being signed by the Boston Bruins on March 30th from Western Michigan. I mentioned Georgii Merkulov the other day. He also had an impressive start coming out of Ohio State specifically. He scored 20 goals, 14 assists for the Buckeyes this season. He assisted on 2 Providence Bruins goals in regulation and also dropped an incredible shootout move for the win against Lehigh Valley over the weekend as well. Mike Callahan, who was acquired from Arizona earlier this season, he also scored his first career goal. That was the only goal scored in the game against Hershey, in which Bussi had that shutout. So some real encouraging contributions from some players that Don Sweeney has signed out of college, and a player that they acquired from the Arizona Coyotes. We know the Bruins don't have their first round pick this year, and so Sweeney's ability to pluck some of these guys off of the college free agent wire, some really astute moves by Don Sweeney, and that will only help to boost Boston's prospect pool, which will not be built through the draft per se this year, or at least the first round, but the Bruins will certainly benefit from getting these guys off the free agent wire. They do have their 2nd round pick. They have a 3rd round pick that belongs to Calgary, a 4th, a 6th, and 2 7ths this year. That is if Zach Senyshyn plays 5 games, the pick will upgrade to a 6th round pick. He made his Senators debut yesterday, and hopefully he'll get a few more games in here so that the Bruins can upgrade that pick from a 7th to a 6th. We will update you on the standings and some other NHL news here in a moment, but first a quick word about Rock Auto. I just took my van in this morning, like I mentioned, for a tire swap, air filters, rust proofing, oil change. If you're looking for auto parts for your car, van, or truck, you can save time and money by choosing rockauto.com. You can save up to 30, 50, even 100% off parts from a chain store or car dealership by using Rock Auto. They're a family-owned business. They've been serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and their prices are always reliably low for every customer. Everything you could possibly need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and you can explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or truck, write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Now, the Bruins, like I said, are in action tonight against the St. Louis Blues. If you are doing some scoreboard watching, you'll have seen that the Capitals upset the Colorado Avalanche last night, pulling them to within 1 point of the Bruins for the first wild card spot. The Bruins do have the upper hand in terms of point percentage, and games played. They only have 75 games played compared to 76 for the Capitals. And, right now you really want to hold on to that first wild card spot to avoid the Florida Panthers in the first round. The Florida Panthers are 2 points back of Colorado for the President's Trophy race. And they have a game in hand as well. And they lead the NHL in goal differential with plus 99, which is 12 better than the Colorado Avalanche. Right now, if the Bruins were to kick it in the second wild card spot, they'd be in line to play the Carolina Hurricanes, who are currently missing starting goaltender Frederik Andersen. The Carolina Hurricanes have had Boston's number in the regular season so far, but I still think they're beatable, especially if Andersen's not there. There's a chance the Rangers could jump up and take first spot in the Metro. I think they are quite beatable, although Igor Shesterkin does indeed scare me for the Rangers in that there. He's a real Vezina Trophy candidate, if not favorite. In terms of the Atlantic Division, the Bruins 3 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning, 9 points back of the Maple Leafs. They're not catching the Leafs for second overall or second in the division. They could still catch the Lightning, but that might be a bit of a stretch at this point. The Lightning are in action tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. They'll probably get the win there. The Bruins are in tough tonight against a St. Louis Blues team that has clinched a playoff spot, but they're fighting the Wild in the Central for home ice advantage. They have 102 points. The Wild 1 point back with a game in hand. So still a lot to play for from a St. Louis Blues perspective. So that's the latest when it comes to the NHL standings. If you want to follow along while I watch the game tonight, you can do so at Locked NHL Bruins, at ENC McLaren. I probably will be catching up on some Better Call Saul at some point tonight as well, because that show is too good to keep waiting, but we'll definitely be all over the game as well. Thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Bruins. As your first listen, do check out the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast for expert help when it comes to trying to win your fantasy hockey league. I'm battling for third in one of my leagues, and I'm in the semifinals in another, so hoping for some wins there. I hope you're all having a great Tuesday so far. We had a fun Monday yesterday, playing some laser tag with the family, went to a restaurant to eat, and played some arcade games. Highly recommend a spontaneous day off for a mental health break if you are able to do so. Anyways, have a great Tuesday, friends. We'll talk to you again tomorrow to recap tonight's game, maybe open up the mailbag. If you have any questions, post them on the YouTube channel or send them to Locked NHL Bruins or at ENC McLaren on Twitter. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Take care, friends.